Well, good morning. I'm going to turn to 1 John chapter 4 and verse number 8. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. And we do look to God to bless his word. I'm sure you've noticed, as I have on some of these rather cold autumn-ish mornings, that there is a pretty heavy dew on the grass and on the trees round about as well. And as the clouds and dampness evaporates off the ground into the sky as the sun rises, there's just a little touch of the heavens that are left upon earth, that heavy dew that's there in the mornings. The Word of God kind of reminds us that there is something of that dew of heaven that God has left round about us, that reminds us that the clouds are there, that the heavens are above us. And John in his writings reminds us about four great aspects of God, four great God is statements. He tells us that God is light, that God is spirit, God is truth, and in that little verse, God is love. In other words, in the world that we live in, there is that flavour of God, that sense of God that reminds us that life is more than just the mechanics of getting up in the morning, going to work, having something to eat, but there is something deep and spiritual. And that flavour is in every aspect of life, as we value truth, as we get a glimpse of light that reveals who and what we are, that shows us hope beyond the horizon, that gives us a sense of meaning at times when the darkness is encroaching. It's a flavour of God that gives us a sense of something beyond the purely material. And that little verse there, of course, in 1 John 4, God is love, gives us that sense. There is something almost indefinable about love, something that is self-sacrificial about love, that in a sense shouldn't be there if some of these skeptics and cynics are correct. It's love that gives, it's love that pours ourselves out, it's love that costs. And of course, it's there in John's writings particularly. He points to the person of the Lord Jesus Christ as the one who is the very fullness of that love. And in fact, in that chapter that we read in 1 John chapter number 4, verse number 7, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knows God. In this was manifest the love of God towards us, because God sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. And that love is poured out in its fullness in the person of the Lord Jesus. That love is given to its utmost degree, in that God saw us in our faults, our failings, our sin, people that ought to be rubbed out and got rid of. And yet in his love he pours out not judgment, but sacrifice and forgiveness. And he pours out the opportunity to return to him, to start afresh, and to enjoy a living relationship with him through the person of his Son. Well, thanks very much for being with me this morning. Thanks.